All right, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? I am Frank Red, and this is another edition of the In the Dungeon Show. And I want to welcome you at the top and say thank you for joining me in conversation. I really appreciate it. A lot to talk about, and I'm interested in getting your thoughts on, some of the sports topics, and if there's an intersection with pop culture, we can delve into that as well. Golden State Warriors put it on the San Antonio Spurs 148-106. We can run through that as well. My pick for the national championship did not win. I picked the Michigan State Spartans, and they lost to Auburn. And what can you say? I mean, when you shoot 30% from three-point line, barely 40 from the field, you're not going to win. So all you can do is salute Auburn, give them credit. They didn't play fantastic, but they played well enough to win. Denied Broom, their best player, got injured, did his Willis Reed interpretation, came back. I guess we can update that now and say he did a Paul Pierce. When Paul Pierce was a member of the Celtics against the Lakers, he got hurt, went to the locker room in a wheelchair, and 6 minutes later he was back on the court. So give Broom a lot of credit, because I think he did inspire his Auburn teammates. They were holding things together, but I think that him coming back was a sigh of relief for the Auburn fans, and he actually made a couple of plays. I'm going to talk about him as an NBA prospect because he does some things really well, and at the same time, you see some areas of his game that he needs to improve. So we can get into the NCAA. I got a lot of thoughts. Give Florida credit for coming back against Texas Tech. But if you're a Texas Tech fan, player, or coach, you got to be sick. They lost that game. I don't think Florida won that game. I think Texas Tech lost that game. And if you play long enough, you will experience one of those losses. Unfortunately, I talk about it sometimes. My last game of my career was similar to that, against West Point, and I'll maybe delve into that as we get into the show. But I get triggered when I see that. It's trauma. It's something that you got to deal with for the rest of your life. So if you want to talk NCAA hoops, we can do that. The men and the women. I'm rooting for South Carolina on the women's side, but UConn, I think, has a good chance. And if UConn won, wouldn't have a problem with it at all, because I am a big Paige Beckers fan. What the South Carolina Gamecocks have done is remarkable. They made it to the Final Four for the 5th straight year. Pretty impressive, no doubt about that. Hit the like button if you like the show. My name is Frank Red, everybody. If you're listening for the first time, follow me on X at Big Frank Red, and we can continue the conversation off air throughout the week. And by hitting the like button, you are definitely helping the show, and I really appreciate that. All right, let's get things started. There's a lot of topics that I'll introduce as we evolve. Right now, I want to go out and speak to the great Vicky. Vicky says, "Hi, Frank. Great day for Bay Area teams. I'm glad little brother lost. Can't have State being better than Michigan. I wish the Warriors would play like this the rest of the way." Well, I'm sure Warrior fans had a party. I'm a Warrior supporter, strong Warrior supporter. Outside of my Knicks, I like to see the Warriors win. But that was embarrassing, though. I mean, 148-106. They could have won by 20, and I would have been, just as satisfied. But when you break the game down, in terms of basketball, that might be their best game of the year in terms of just having that synergy, making shots. They shot damn near 50% from the three-point line. The best game that I've ever seen Brandon Podzinski have. He was outstanding. 5 for 7 from 3, 27 points. I would have given him a perfect score for the game if he had not complained to the referee a couple of times early on. I hate that. I hate to see players complaining. But give the young man credit. If he can knock down open shots like that when it matters, he'll be in this league for a long time. And I'm happy for him. He played extremely well. Happy to see Moses Moody kind of get back on track. When Pods came back, for whatever reason, it's not Pods' fault, but Moody has not been shooting the ball well over the past 2 weeks. He went 3 for 6 from three-point range and looked pretty darn good driving to the hoop. So a lot of good things happened today. With that said, the next 3 games will make or break the Golden State Warriors season. They take on the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis on Tuesday. They play the Lakers in LA on Thursday. And then they play, I believe, the Denver Nuggets at home on Friday. This is it. They've won 43 games. We had them winning somewhere between 44 and 48. At least I did. They might have to win 49 to secure that 6th seed. They got a nice little gift from Cleveland today. They beat the Clippers. But there's a lot of strange things going on. It wouldn't surprise me if the Memphis Grizzlies sink into the play-in. They got a tough schedule coming up. They fired their coach, which was strange. Vicky also says, I feel sorry for San Antonio. They lose their coach and the best player in the same year. Yeah, Vicky, I don't feel sorry for them in terms of losing. I thought it was embarrassing for the coach who for the most part, has done an extraordinary job taking over for the future Hall of Famer, Greg Popovich. But it didn't seem like they were ready to play. It seemed like San Antonio, even with the great Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, I throw him in there, one of the best professionals in the NBA, they were not ready to play. In spite of the Warriors making all those shots, San Antonio appeared to be making their vacation plans. We'll get a better idea of where they are the next game they play. But they didn't show up. Good for the Warriors. The Warriors needed a game like that. SGA said the San Antonio Spurs stunk so bad like a baby's diaper after losing to the Warriors. I've smelled some baby's diapers that stink pretty bad. So, yeah, that was not good. So, yeah, I mean, people were talking about the Jimmy Butler honeymoon being over. I never thought it was over. You know, I was on another show a couple of days ago, and people were saying, well, what's wrong with Jimmy Butler? And I was like, nothing's wrong with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is simply playing basketball, and he is so smart. He's so in tune to giving the Warriors what they need at a particular time that the numbers are going to fluctuate back and forth. Now, since he's been with the Warriors, this guy is averaging 18 points a game, 6 rebounds, and damn near 6 assists. I'll take that any day of the week. And playing top flight defense. There's nothing wrong with Jimmy Butler. Don't worry about it. Don't believe the hype. This dude is balling. And I can't wait to see him Tuesday night against a talented Memphis Grizzlies team who don't have their coach. And, the scuttlebutt from the general manager was there was no player input on the firing. Come on, man. Really? Really? You don't fire a coach with 8 games left. Unless there's a serious spat between the general manager and the coach. In some instances, the owner and the coach. But this is an odd move. Almost like there are bigger moves to come. It's almost like they're throwing the season away, which if I'm a Memphis Grizzlies season ticket holder or fan, I don't like this at all. I don't. So, good for the Warriors, though. If I'm the Warriors, I have a lot of confidence going into Memphis on Tuesday night. Gundocious, what's up, brother? Haven't heard from you in a while. Maybe you were listening, but you're just not commenting. But it's always great to get your insight into what's happening in the world of sports. He says, what's up, Frank? Who do you think the best player in college basketball is right now? That's easy. It's Cooper Flagg. And the consensus was at the beginning of the year that it would be Cooper. But he has exceeded expectations. And I'm going to tell you why. Not because of his offense. He has a good feel for the game. I'm going to go way back. I would suggest you get on YouTube and take a look. But he kind of reminds me of, this is going to sound strange. You're going to say, damn, Red. He kind of reminds me of John Havlicek. John Havlicek with Tom Chambers type bounce, right? Danny Grain's type bounce. Tom Chambers, if you don't remember, was a high flyer who played for the Phoenix Suns, a great player. Probably should be in the Hall of Fame if he had won any games of significance. I don't know if he did, but Tom Chambers was an absolute monster and very athletic. John Havlicek, I mean, come on, man. John Havlicek is one of the best players in the history of the Boston Celtics, in the Hall of Fame. And I think Cooper's going to bring a lot of that two-way ability to the NBA. Great passion, plays hard. Yeah, he's everything that I think that they hoped that he would be. Now, I think Cooper Flagg elevates Jason Tatum. Because Jason Tatum came into the NBA, and I don't think that they really gave him the respect that he deserves. Every time that somebody said Luka was the future of the NBA and better than Jay, I was like, what? Have you ever played this game before? Jason Tatum, to me, is not going to happen this year because SGA, I think, has had a better season. But Jason Tatum is one of the best basketball players that we've seen in a long time. And I know in last year's final, it was Jaylen Brown kind of taking the lead. But when you look at these wings coming into the league, and you want to see guys who are 6'8", 6'9", ultra skilled, who's a more skilled forward in the league, two-way, than Jason Tatum? Now, Luka's shot-making ability, his passing, I mean, Luka's awesome. But I love Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum, to me, is what a guy like Cooper Flagg should shoot for. Because if you look at Cooper's game, his shot, he can make shots. He's an 80% free throw shooter, but his shot can be kind of flat, which doesn't allow him to shoot the long ball, particularly when he's being contested. The pros make perimeter shots when people are guarding them. We haven't really seen that from Cooper. He's only, was he 19 years old? Where do you guys want him to go? I don't want him to go to Utah. No, I don't want to go. I don't want Cooper to go to Utah. What's a couple teams I don't want him to go to? I don't want him to go to Charlotte. I don't want him to go to Utah. I don't want him to go to New Orleans. I think anywhere else is I'm okay with that. I would love to see him in San Antonio. Probably not going to happen. My man, Brian Iglesia, what's up? How you doing, brother? Big Frank, what's up? What's up, man? Always enjoy your independent thoughts. The great Vicky, do you think Cooper is the number one pick in the draft? Absolutely. Yep. Gondocious, I'll just be listening in. I'm actually driving to SF right now for my 2 days in the office. I stay tuned in every Sunday. Man, I love you, dude. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. How many people can say that they have somebody religiously listening from Thailand? Not many. Defensive Player of the Year, Draymond Green. Absolutely. No doubt about that. Mark Grave checking in. How you doing, Mark? Great to hear from you. It was nice seeing Moody get his stroke back tonight. Yeah. You know, it's interesting, Mark, because I think Moody is bothered by things that he has no control over. You know, when Pods came back, his minutes kind of got cut a little bit. You know, Kuminga comes back, you know. He just needs to go out and play and be the player that he is. So Kerr seemingly has continued to stick with him as a starter because I think he really knows he needs him. When he's playing at his best, he's a high contributor. He's much improved defensively. I'm going to say that Moses Moody is probably the most improved defensive player on the Warriors to me. So he's not a sieve anymore. He used to make a lot of mistakes defensively. He's not doing that right now. So I'm happy that he got a stroke back, and they need that guy, man. They really do. Did you see the Warriors bench after Looney made the three? Absolutely. That was awesome. Know why that was so good, Vicky? Because they love Looney. You know, even the coaches. I mean, even like when you're a coach and you put it on somebody and you have respect on the other, you know, you want to respect the coaches on the other side. You know, you're putting your hand over your face, you're turning your head because you're human. You want to laugh also. You want to enjoy the moment. But as a coach, you got to be professional and buttoned up. Everybody loves Looney. Looney is one of those all-time great Warriors, kind of like John Starks. I mean, he has the same effect that us Knicks fans have for John Starks. John Starks is the same guy who shot, 3 for 17 or something against the Houston Rockets in what was the most important game that the Knicks have played in the past 25, 30 years. But we love him. We love the guy. Brian said, I definitely don't want to see Vlad go to the Washington. No, please. Please. I put this out there a couple of weeks. People thought that I was crazy. I'm going to say it again. If the Boston Celtics could trade Jaylen Brown for Cooper Flag, they do it. I believe they would do it. And not that they don't like Jaylen Brown, because Jaylen Brown is a top 20 player in the NBA. But when you have when you have two guys on your team that's making $300 million, that's not good. They got a new owner now who, you can blame it on him. Wick, the previous owner could say, hey, man, I had nothing to do with it, man. Yeah, man, I would have kept you. But if the Celtics could get Cooper Flag to team him with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown would be traded. He would be traded. And I don't know where he would go. They wouldn't send him to a garbage team. So maybe it'd be a three-way deal. But I think they would trade him. I do. Hot take by Frank Red. Mark Graves says no to the Spurs. They've had enough number one picks. Yeah, they have, but you know how the NBA works, Mark. You know, they're looking for the next, 10, 15, 20 years. You know, they got a $75 billion TV contract. What do you think Cooper Flag would do for ratings in a big-time market, along with the Jason Tatum? Any media market, this guy is going to be, I'm not going to say he's going to be Caitlin Clark, but he's going to be big. Outstanding. You want him in Utah? I don't. I do not. All right, so shout outs, new sub, good win for the Dub, taking care of business. Thank you for being a new sub. And is that what, F2P? F2P. Thank you. I really appreciate you. My man Looney 3-ball is all time. Love that guy. Nah, man, he man, Looney loves the Bay. He loves San Francisco too. They're gonna do right by that guy. Was he a 3-time champion? He's a real teammate. A real teammate. Makes it easy for Steve Kerr. Sets an example for Steve Kerr, because Kerr is not the easiest guy to play for. And Looney is unbothered. Regardless of the role, if he starts, if he comes off the bench, it doesn't matter. He's unbothered. And as a coach, you need players like that. You know, and I'm sure Kerr is maintaining good communication, but, you know, all players wouldn't be able to see his minutes vacillate back and forth the way Looney's minutes sometimes do. But it doesn't matter. He comes off the bench and he's ready. Champion. RC Rules, hey Frank, and all from Bangkok. Yeah, man. Oh, in a serious note, I know there was a tremendous earthquake in Bangkok. I send my prayers out to Bangkok, Thailand. I'm not sure if it was in the city of Bangkok. Let me stop saying that, because I'm not quite sure if it was. I think it was Bangkok. I know it was Thailand. But having gone there around 4 times, I love the place. The people are so nice. They really are. They're so nice. By the way, I go over there to do basketball clinics, okay? So that's my main purpose, to go over there to do basketball clinics on the island of Phuket, where they've had, tsunamis, obviously. I wasn't there during that particular year, but I generally go to Bangkok and chill and do stuff for about, 5 or 6 days. Then I go spend a week in Phuket doing basketball camps. As I digress, Phuket, check this out. Phuket is so amazing that the water is so clear and it's so blue, so beautiful. The fish will come up to you, swim up to you, and kind of like stand at your feet and wait for you to give them food. That's how smart they are. But that's how clean that water is. It's amazing. Anybody's been to Bangkok, and Phuket in particular, validate that. Brian says, Flag going to SA to team up with Fox and Wemby would be great theater. Yeah, it would be great theater, and probably some championships down the road. But, as good a player as he is, it's really his motor. Because there'll be some players that will be more talented than Cooper. I mean, I see things in this game that give me pause. Once he gets a fast start in the open court, he's awesome. But he got to work on his skill package, because his lateral quickness is not electric. It's good for somebody 6'8" or 6'9", but it's not LeBron. For all the, the crap that we sometimes label on LeBron and all the stuff that he does. We haven't seen anything like LeBron. Cooper Flagg is not LeBron. Cooper Flagg is Cooper Flagg, who's really, really good. And, in terms of drama, it doesn't appear to be any drama with Cooper. Perfect teammate, plays both ends. Everybody in the league wants him, no doubt. Nick Fry, what's up? JB for Flagg? That's crazy. Would you do it? I think that the receiving team on Jaylen Brown would have to get, there'll be some other players involved. This is Jaylen Brown is what, 7th year, 8th year? He got a long time to play. But he's not going to be the box office bonanza that Cooper Flagg would be. And I guess if you're winning games, who cares? Who cares? I think there's going to be a lot of moves this summer. I do. I think that anything is possible in free agency. And I'm going to tell you why. Because of the Luka trade. So organizations now are not going to stand pat. They're not going to be embarrassed to make deals. That's why the Kings traded De'Aaron Fox. Not that he's on that level, because he's not. But I think you're going to see a lot of deals this summer. I do. Vicky says, I think a lot of teams would trade Cooper Flagg. Absolutely. No doubt. Brian says, if Joe Lacob could trade Butler and Kuminga for Cooper Flagg, he would do it in a heartbeat. Wow. You think so? I don't know about that. Because you need to see the same, I'm not going to call them flaws, but there's some red flags that I see that Cooper is going to have to take on. And that would be ballsy. That would be real ballsy. And if I'm the Boston, well, I guess Boston doesn't need, Jimmy Butler, you don't want, here's the deal with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's one of those guys that you can't trade anywhere because he'll blow the place up, figuratively. So when you get when you acquire a superstar player in your organization, particularly somebody who's a made man, you got to make sure they want to be there. Now, would Joe Lacob want to have Cooper? Hell yeah. That's interesting. Kuminga and Butler. Give me a team, Brian. Give me a team. Or you think that Cooper is going to be at least 85% of what Wemby is looking like. I don't quite get that, Nick. Rephrase that, please. Brian says, getting a generation-type player in Cooper and trading away a 35-year-old who has 2 years left and a guy who won't hit his prime until 3 to 5 seems like a no-brainer. Again, Kuminga, yes. But Jimmy Butler, players can get traded. They can get traded. Any player can get traded who's under contract. But the receiving team, bears the responsibility of getting that player to play and ingratiating him into that community. Players have so much power. I'll give you a perfect example. Look what has happened in Phoenix. Have you seen Phoenix play? The KD to Phoenix has been a complete disaster. And now they're stuck. What are you going to do? You still got to pay them. The fans don't like it. We've seen Jimmy Butler blow up some teams. We've seen that. We've also seen Jimmy Butler be a model citizen when he's happy. So I'm one that thinks that it's a 50-50 chance that Kuminga will be traded. I still believe that. And it has nothing to do with his talent. I think that he's very talented. And I think on another team, particularly a team like Washington, I think Jonathan Kuminga is going to average over 20 points a game, probably 7 or 8 rebounds, and be a stalwart in like 2 or 3 years. I used to have problems seeing him averaging 20 a game. I don't have that problem anymore. I don't. He's going to average 20 points a game. Now, what is that 20 going to look like? That's another conversation. He's going to have to round his game out. But Jonathan Kuminga is very valuable. And every time the Warriors pick up the phone or they receive calls, they take a step back because they realize how much the league values him. They value him more than the league values Kuminga more than the Warriors do. Aussie Rule says, thanks, Frank. All okay. Never forget Celtics drafted Bird a year before he entered the draft. Yes, they did. Mark Graves says, the problem with Butler-JK trade is the teams with the best odds getting flagged wouldn't want Butler. Exactly. That's my point. That's my point, Mark. So, I mean, you and I are talking a little inside baseball here, Mark, but you're absolutely right. You don't want a veteran player making a ton of money who's already rich to get to your organization and be unhappy. That's not something you want. Now, hey, Mark, if the team was decent and he wanted to be there and you offered him another 2-year extension at his salary, he'd probably be okay with it. About money. Nick Fry. Frank, do you think that Flagg has a potential to be the player that Wemby has shown himself to be? Wemby will be a multiple defensive player of the year, so I get that Flagg probably won't do that. So can Flagg get to 85%? I think Wemby is. I mean, Wemby plays a different position, but I think Wemby has a chance going on the premise that he plays. Because let's just hope and pray. Wemby can be a top 25 player of all time. I think he can. Cooper Flagg can be a perennial all-star. I'm going to give him that. When I say perennial, I mean a 5-time, 6-time all-star in his career. That's the biggest leap that I'm going to take, and that is a big leap. Players out of college don't come into the league being all-stars. I think Cooper can be an all-star, and I think he will be an all-star because he has the motor. He's a two-way guy. He plays team ball, and I think that the teams that ultimately draft him will work hard to put good players around him. So I think he's going to build some good teams eventually. Maybe not right away, but I think he's going to be good. But Wemby's different. If Wemby is healthy, Wemby could be a top 25 player of all time. I believe he can. Vicky says, the Suns play like they are getting ready to play golf. Yeah, they do, and none of them play golf. That's how bad it is. F2P, what's up? Didn't the 76ers choose Tobias over Jimmy because Embiid wanted Jimmy to stay? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But we don't know what's happening inside the locker room. We don't know. Publicly, they love Jimmy. Oh, he was great. I don't know. Yeah, okay, whatever. I think they were a little hesitant to sign Jimmy long term, and guess what? It was the wrong move. They made a mistake. They should have kept him. Now, I'm not taking anything that Embiid says real strongly, as because he hasn't showed up when it has mattered. Now, I'm never going to fault a player for being injured. I believe he is injured. I believe he was hurt. But I also think that his conditioning has been unacceptable. You can control that. You can control how much you eat. You can control the type of food that you eat. You can control your conditioning. There's a lot of things that he can do. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I have so much respect for this guy that I'm going to name right now. When Michigan State was playing Auburn, they went back to the last time that Izzo coached against Pearl. And it was when Pearl was coaching Tennessee, right? And Michigan State won, I believe, 70-69. It was the last year, I believe, that Draymond Green was a member of the Michigan State Spartans. Drastically different body type when he was at Michigan State compared to where he is now. Draymond Green he's not rock, he's not the Rock, but his body has definition. He's sleek, he's quick, he's fast. This dude has been in tip-top shape for 13 years. When Draymond Green was at Michigan State, he was kind of chubby. You know the level of discipline that it takes to do what Draymond Green has done? And guess what? In year 13, he is probably the prohibitive favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. I got so much respect for that guy. This is post $200+ million in earned salary, and he's still at the top of his game. Conditioning matters. Nick says, I think Wemby gives a solid perspective for Flag because we see him in the league currently. It's easier to associate value to him. Yeah, you know what? I look at a couple of things. Is he a two-way player? Yes. Does he play hard? Yes. Is he a great teammate? Yes. Is he athletic? Yes. He checks all the boxes, man. He does. And he's a 80% free throw shooter. And he's a pretty good perimeter shooter. He just he's not like a three-point shooter. He's not going to come into the league being a three-point shooter. He's not. Particularly if he's pressured. But, be a mid-range maniac. I have no problem with players who play in the mid-range. Jordan played in the mid-range. That was Jordan's game. When he came in the league, he killed people 15 to 18 feet from the basket. I think Cooper's going to do that. Brian says, if a team like Philly gets the first pick, I could see them trade for veterans who are ready to win right now. Philly is actually a place that I would like to see Cooper go to. I would love to see Cooper Flag in Philly. I would love it. And guess what? I could see that happening because they would trade Maxey for him. They trade now Paul George and Maxey, with another player coming back, he would be AI-ish in Philly. That's how popular Cooper Flag would be. He would own that city. As big as the Eagles are now, they would still love the Eagles. It's an Eagle city. But when they transition to basketball, they would love going to that arena to see Cooper Flag play for the next 10 to 15 years. Philly's a good call. If Philly gets the first pick, they should take Flag and run. They could use a rebuild. PG and Embiid are a sinking ship. I don't have any faith in Embiid, again, because of conditioning. I think Paul George, he's older. His body's breaking down. I think Paul George has some good years left. I just think it's a bad mix in Philly. I do. I think he made a bad decision by going for the most money they can get. And as far as I know, every check has cashed. So he got his money. He needs to go win somewhere. He does. Vicky says, Wemby's doctors can't get rid of the blood clot, so they might have to do surgery. Praying for him. Wow. Vicky, where'd you get the information from? Because I haven't heard anything speaking to that. Now, what I did hear this afternoon is Wemby is planning on playing for France in the summer. So if that's the case, that would intimate that things are looking up. But I haven't heard anything about his prognosis. So it'd be interesting to hear where you got that information from. My man Keys, what's up? What's up, Frank? Any news on the Auburn's big man injury? It looks like a top 3 pick to me. He came back in the game. He came back in the game. So I think that's a good sign. I don't think he's a top 3 pick. I don't. I think he is a top 7, 8, top 10 pick who I think is going to have a really good NBA career. But you know how he hurt his leg? He doesn't have great agility. He doesn't have great agility. I can tell that. What he has defensively, he has pretty good timing. But dexterity and agility, I think those are things he needs to work on. And I'm going to tell you why. If you're going for a block, innately, before you even make the play, your body, people who have really good balance, they've already positioned their body to come down in a safe place. This dude just went Wile E. Coyote for the block. He didn't have any idea what was beneath him. Athletes generally don't do that. They don't, and that's kind of that's kind of a nuanced type thing. He also goes to his left shoulder, his right shoulder, his left shoulder. Doesn't do a whole lot with his right hand. What he does do that I didn't know that he did very well is he's a good passer. So he's gonna be a pretty good player. He'll be a pretty good post defender, but he's not real fast. He kind of gallops. So his gait doesn't have the best gait. So I like Broom, but there's some things that I see that would not encourage me to take him with the top 3 pick. As horrible as Rutgers was this year, the 6'9", 6'10" kid is somebody who's probably going to be drafted in the top 5 because they don't know what his ceiling is. That dude is talented. He is tremendously talented. I wish he would go back to college. Somebody help me out if you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to butcher his name by mentioning it, but I know who he is. I expect the Auburn player Broom to play the Final Four. Nick says, do you think there's a correlation between the high amounts of air travel, pressurization, and the DVT case rise? What is DVT? Help me out. What is that? Help me out with that, and I'll answer the question. Vicky says, look who Draymond's teammate is. Steph, by example. Yeah, that's a great point, Vicky. And what Vicky is talking about is I just, gave the soliloquy on how Draymond is in tremendous shape and discipline and all that type stuff. And then Vicky, slammed the gavel down and said, look who his teammate is. Yeah, look at Stephen. If you're Stephen Curry's teammate And let's give Klay Thompson some love. If you're Klay Thompson's love and you see those two guys working as hard as they did, and being Draymond, give Draymond credit also. That was a hell of a trio to be around. Then you had Andre Iguodala. You know, you had all of these pros. And Kerr bringing in a system that was influenced by Phil Jackson, Popovich, Lute Olson. And Draymond played for his own. So the discipline, the innate fabric of success was there. And a lot of people talk about it, but he actually did it. Love that about him. Nick says, laugh out loud, Vicky. I love the idea of a chubby Draymond getting chewed out by Steph. That's funny. Cooper to the New York Knicks. Can you say that again? It sounds like a symphony in my ear. I love it. Now, here's the deal. The Knicks have the pieces. They do. They have the pieces. So that's not far-fetched to me. That could happen. That could happen. And Knicks fans would go crazy. I'm going to tell you why it could happen. If the Knicks don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, if the Knicks get bounced in the second round and they don't look good, there's going to be a shakeup. It's going to be a shakeup. It might even be the coach. The coach might get fired. As much as we love Tibbs, he might be gone. The Knicks have paid people a lot of money. And, you know, I like Mikal Bridges. I think he's going to be a great Knick. But would they trade Mikal Bridges and something else for Cooper Flag? Yeah, they do it. They do it in a heartbeat. And whomever was on the receiving end, just saying that they're decent, who gets Mikal Bridges and something else with a couple of picks, you know, you're happy. Mikal Bridges is an all-star caliber player, but he's not box office. The Knicks want box office. NBA cities want box office. And Cooper Flag can not only play, can you imagine the number of jerseys that guy's going to sell? Brian says, I don't know if you've talked about this yet, but what the hell happened with Taylor Jenkins in Memphis? Crazy. I mentioned it, but I didn't get into it. But let me give you my take on it now. I think that the organization had some reservations about him managing the locker room, because it's not his coaching. It's not a basketball issue. I also think that Taylor probably was a little salty about the organization firing all of his assistant coaches last year and bringing in a new guy who they just gave the interim job to. Tomas, I guess his name is. But this was not about basketball. This was a power struggle, and this was about a breach in trust. Now, I think there are some serious concerns about the locker room. I do. Because I was listening this afternoon to Eddie Johnson, who does the show. Well, was it Eddie Johnson or was it Sam Mitchell? I'm not quite sure who it was. But I was listening to NBA TV, and it was a tape from an earlier show, I believe. But Sam Mitchell or Eddie Johnson, I think it was Sam Mitchell, he said this one thing. And as a coach myself, I can relate to this. Your most important job as a coach is to manage the locker room. When guys push the boundaries, you got to make sure that they don't push over to the other side. Which means that you got to stand your ground and you got to be willing to be fired. You got to make people feel uncomfortable. That's your job. I don't know if Taylor Jenkins was willing to do that, if he did that. John Morant is a grown man. He's not responsible for all the things that John Morant does. He's not. I'm not blaming that on him. But when you see a guy like Desmond Bane, solid pro, all-star caliber, hard worker, and he shows little to no decorum by putting his hands on a teammate in public, that's inside the locker room stuff. You don't see that happening publicly. So, do I think it was the right thing to do to fire him? No, I don't. Would I have been surprised that he got fired in offseason? No. But those are some of the things that I look to and I go, the number one job is to manage the locker room. Sometimes I get upset with Steve Kerr, the way that he kind of brings young players along. But Steve Kerr is an excellent manager. Excellent. And, you know, I mean, yeah, internally, things happen. But you look at like Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka established himself as a leader of men in Boston. A bunch of Motley Crue type personalities, he had that team together. Which is why, even with what occurred in Boston, he got a job relatively quickly. And what has he done in Houston? There's no question who is the leader in Houston. It's Ime Udoka. And it was interesting watching Houston pummel the Phoenix Suns before I came on air tonight. The same confidence that I had last year at the draft in Reed Shepherd, I still have. You saw Reed Shepherd out there doing his thing, looking like Mark Price. That dude is a badass player. And he's got little to no minutes. Although he did score 50 in a G League game, by the way. That kid is going to be a player. But Ime Udoka hasn't played in this year because he's not a good defender. And he wants to bring him along slowly. Reed Shepherd hasn't said anything. It hasn't been any like upheaval, not publicly. Whitmore doesn't play a lot. Whitmore will be playing on quite a few teams. So when I look at Memphis, I think it's about management of the players, managing the locker room. The next guy who comes, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the general manager, Kyman, is jonesing over this coach they brought in from Europe who runs a great offense. Yeah, whatever. Show me an offense that runs well that the players don't want to run. I don't care what the offense is. If the players don't buy into it, it's not going to work. It will not work. So they need somebody who's going to manage that locker room, manage that team, and be a presence who people respect. Good call, Brian. Not quite sure what that is. Oh, yeah, Mom. Okay. I got it. Okay, Vicky got the information from San Antonio's website. That's interesting. They would say that they can't, they can't shrink the blood clot. If I'm a Spurs fan, that would scare me. Deep vein thrombosis, otherwise known as a blood clot. Exactly. Thank you, Nick. Rutgers, 6'10" prospect, Ace Bailey. Yes. I don't know if you've seen Ace Bailey play. Not a very good defender. Misses a lot of assignments. But I've seen him do things that NBA All-Stars can't do. I'm going to put his name up there once again so you can see it. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you. This dude is the real deal with regards to talent. Ace Bailey. I heard Kevin Durant say that in some areas of his game, he's further along than he was at the same stage. KD doesn't walk around giving out compliments. He's not that guy. He doesn't do that. Real talent. Going to be a top 5 pick if he comes out, and he's coming out. I'm going to say the kid Queen, also from Maryland. Don't sleep on him. He's 6'9", 6'10". He'll probably have some challenges defensively, but he's going to score a lot of points in the NBA. Another good player. Patrick Queen. No, it's not Pat. That's a linebacker. I'm sorry. But Queen, the forward from Maryland. Really good player. Dylan Harper was Rutgers' 6'6" point. Ron Harper's son. Obviously very talented, but he got his butt kicked in the Big Ten. I mean, my thing is, I'm not saying that he's not good. I'm not saying he's not going to be a great pro. What I'm saying is that I have a problem drafting players who did not win in college. If I'm a college coach and I'm recruiting players, I want players who won a lot against good competition. Rutgers was a mess this year. A mess. Go back to school and show that you are that guy. Take Rutgers to the NCAA Tournament. Like Cooper Flagg. We didn't know what Cooper was going. We knew he'd be good. We didn't know Cooper would be this good. Cooper has done everything that Duke wanted him to do, and some. Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey need to do that. Brian says, that's one owner. I would hate to see Cooper go to James Dolan. Now, I'm going to say this. James Dolan, he gets a bad rap, man. He does. People hate the guy. I don't like the Oakley thing. Don't like him. I'm not saying he's perfect. But, I mean, people dog Dolan like he's like the Clippers' former owner. And I'm like, yo, he pays people. I don't think Dolan's that bad. Is he Joe Lacob? No, hell no, he's not. But I don't think he's that bad. I think people rag him, for things that they shouldn't be ragging him about. He put a good management staff in place and seemingly has not bothered them to the point where they've been able to go out and acquire great talent and build a pretty darn good team. I would love Cooper in New York if we can get him. Then fire him at the end of the season. 8 games left. Vicky, I agree with you. But you know what, though? See, that's what we don't know, Vicky. Those are the unknowns. He could have told his GM that he's number one. If you tell your boss that they're number one, you're probably going to get fired. Did anyone catch the Minnesota-Detroit scuffle? Certainly would raise some eyebrows at ESPN tomorrow. I saw it, and I mean, like I first saw, like somebody sent it to me on my phone, and then I had to see it again, live and direct. And I mean, I think both teams could have handled it differently. I'm the biggest Dante DiVincenzo fan in the world. But I don't know if you can put your hands on somebody and grab their jersey like that. I mean, you're going to play peacemaker. It's one thing to put your body in between guys and kind of move your guy back and make sure that he's not getting swung on. But Dante rolls up on Holland with two hands on his uniform and kind of slammed him to the ground. I mean, that was pretty serious. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjudicate that. But Detroit has an edge. And I feel sorry for some of those guys because if you're a superstar, you can kind of get away with some of that stuff. But if you're just kind of a guy, you're going to cost yourself a lot of money, millions of dollars. I want to have a nice little math class with some of those cats. Be like, yo, you can be as physical as anybody else, but these entanglements and like the reputation that you're building, this is not 1992 or 88. No, this is 2025. The money is so astronomical at this point that you want to get all you can get. And, there's a couple of guys who I think need to see the bigger picture. Because you can ride till the wheels fall off for an organization and then wake up the next morning and realize you got traded. You need to know this is a business. That's what it's about. This is not you who riding for your high school team. No, this is a business. $1 billion business. And it's part of your responsibility is to get your fair share. And people are hesitant to pay guys who they think are going to be problems. And I'm certainly not talking about Dante DiVincenzo. Brian says, managing a locker room in Memphis with Ja and a bunch of young guys with basically no leader is harder than winning basketball games. They seem like the team who everyone wants to play in the playoffs. That's a brilliant take. That is awesome. I remember when I used to listen to Jim Rome back in the day, and he would have these sound effects for good takes. Woo, 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 woo. Great take, Brian. Yeah, and again, Brian, you don't know that unless you coached before or you've managed people. You need to have some type of management responsibility to understand that level of nuance. I've lived in Memphis before. Memphis is a tough city. It is a tough city. It really is. A lot of good people in Memphis, but it's tough because it's not a real big city. So people have access to you. And the diversity of character and level of sensibility that Northern California has, Memphis doesn't have that. So you need a special person to really be a leader for these young millionaires who could literally throw a rock and find stuff that's maybe not so great for them. That's the game right there. That's the game. That's the game. Vicky says, what happened with the Stanford football coach? He deserved to be fired. Well, Troy Taylor. I mean, that was weird, Vicky. I mean, you need counseling to help you learn how to talk to people. I mean, come on, man. What is this? 1972? You're a head coach of literally one of the best universities in the world. Highly intelligent people. And he allegedly was talking to people in a way that was not appropriate. And he was going 3-9 every year. You can't do that. I have empathy for him that he lost what was probably his dream job. But There's certain communities that you walk into that you need to check all the boxes in terms of your preparation. And being a professional and exhibiting grace and humanity to everybody is something that you need to do, or go 9-12. I mean 9-3 as opposed to 3-9. And they want to fire him anyway. I mean, let's be honest. I hated what they did in sack to Mike Brown. I think we all did. I mean, anybody who watches basketball, anybody who was rationalizing Mike Brown getting fired, I was like, come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. But, you know, this is what Sack has done in the past. That came from the owner. This is me guessing. I don't have any inside dope, but that seems like an owner's move. No smart, in-tune person would fire Mike Brown at that stage of the season. And I feel bad for Doug Christie, because Doug Christie, I'm sure, is giving everything that he has to that team. But again, doesn't really have the experience. It's one thing to sit on a bench. It's something else to manage players, ensure that they put forth the effort every day, and be on top of everything else associated with creating a game plan and doing all these things. I wish the Kings would give Doug Christie a 2-year extension, maybe a 3-year extension. And I'm going to tell you why. Because then, if and when they fire him, he won't be left with nothing. That's what they usually do. They usually line your pockets pretty good, and then they fire you anyway because they got so much money. So he can go be a college coach or, sit on somebody else's bench. But I'm already starting to throw names out there. Obviously, Terry Stotts sitting next to Kerr, has to look like a prince to Sacramento, in spite of Mike Brown getting fired. Also think Scott Brooks. Scott Brooks is from Stockton. He's been a successful head coach for a long period of time. He's from the area. He's kind of bided his time a little bit. I guess he's on the Lakers bench now. Keep your eye on Scott Brooks at the end of the year. Nick says, Mike Brown didn't deserve that at all. He's a great coach. But I doubted for longer than I should have. Nah, dude's a good coach. What he does, though, he clearly gets into guys. He says things to guys that pisses them off. But so what? Do your job. Winners win, losers keep losing. I hear that. Yeah, man. Listen, there are connectors to winning, though. Doing your job, not making mistakes. The teams that make the fewest mistakes win. Simple. I'm going to give you a perfect example. This is what I love. I'm going to challenge you all to watch the game within the game. If I ask you who was the most impressive player on the Warriors today, 90% would say Brandon Podzinski. I would say he's the second most impressive player. The most impressive player to me was Trace Jackson Davis. In the 5 or 6 minutes that Trace Jackson Davis played, he was awesome. Attacking the basket with force, dunking, running, looking like he kept his body in shape. He sent a message to Steve Kerr and the rest of the coaches that said, I want to get off this bench. I want to play. And he went out there and played his ass off in 5 minutes. I was very impressed with what I saw. Keep your eye on him. He might get off the bench against Memphis because he played so darn well. That's somebody who's like, I'm not going to sulk. I'm going to take responsibility for what I can take responsibility for. And that's going out and putting forth solid effort. He did that. I was impressed with him. Steve-O Supremo. Is the San Antonio Spurs and LeBron beef over? And who won? There's a beef? I didn't know that. Help me out. Joe is not an easy owner to work for. No, but he's an easy owner to play for. You're right. If Draymond would have done that, he would have been gone forever. Yeah, you know what? Draymond lost some millions last year. He lost some money. He lost some real. That dude was out, what, 20? How many games? 25? Woo. Draymond's lost maybe a penny this year, getting all his money. San Antonio Spurs really, really, really showed. Who is this? I'm not good with acronyms. Or what is this? Really showed his colors to the world. Made up a lie and tried to shame LeBron for being with Bronny after Bronny heart failure. Oh, Stephen A. Smith. Oh, okay. I got you now. Let me read it again. Stephen A. Smith really, really showed his colors to the world, made up a lie, and tried to shame LeBron for being with his son after Bronny had heart failure. Bron won by default because Stephen A. Smith is scum. Here's the deal. You got to get your facts right. And Stephen A., he gets things wrong sometimes. And once it comes out of your mouth, it's out of your mouth. I get names wrong. I might get stuff wrong, but when you're on national television every morning and you are literally the face of the industry, having signed a contract for $100 million, that was a bad look. That wasn't good because you are starting to kind of get inside someone's head, and you can't do that. You can't speculate. You can't. You can't infer things like that. It has to be factual. And I'm not a Stephen A. Smith hater, and I'm gonna tell you why. Now, stating the obvious, he makes mistakes. He can be obnoxious. He can be loud, and then all those things. But Stephen A. Smith has put on more people than any personality in this industry. He's put more people on. I cannot not acknowledge that. Because a lot of people, when they get in positions of power, know what they do? They keep as many people out as they can for fear of competition. Stephen A. has not done that. So while he gets things wrong on occasion, he made a mistake on Thursday or Friday in which he referenced Nolan Richardson being dead. He said R.I.P. And then after commercial, he came back. He goes, "Yo, people think that I said Nolan Richardson." Well, you did say it, but you made a mistake, and he corrected the mistake. It's okay. Probably was a shock to Nolan Richardson, though. One of my worst gaffes. I was working at KCK in Sacramento, hosting a show, and I was so happy. It was literally one of the happiest times of my life, hosting that show. But, you prepare all week, and you want to get everything out there. And sometimes it just doesn't come out right. And I remember one time I was referencing a fight that Evander Holyfield had I don't know who he was fighting. And as opposed to saying Evander Holyfield, I called him Evanderfield. Oh, man. Once it comes out of your mouth, it's out of your mouth. Laugh about it, make the correction, and keep it moving. Now, the LeBron Bronny thing, that's no laughing matter. But my point is, you're going to say things on air that you regret. And it's up to Stephen A to speak to the things that he says that he might regret saying. He's done that in the past. Not as easy as it looks. I'll say that. Vicky says, that's what a good coach does. He finds leadership on the roster. Yes. Lynch and Shani flew to Greenlaw's house with a bigger offer. He said no thanks. Was it too late, or are Niners not viewed as a contender anymore? Wow, I didn't know that, Keith. Where'd you get that information? Why did Memphis fire their coach? I heard Ja liked him. Well, let me say this. I'd rather a player respect me than like me. You don't have to like me, but you need to respect me. If you respect me, you're not going to make me look bad. Okay? If you respect me, you're not going to make me look bad. That's all I'll say. I don't need people to like me. My mother likes me. The few friends that I have like me. I want people to respect me. Vicky, again, the Sacramento fans suffer. Yes. What a great fan base. I think Moody was the best because Trey Jackson Davis went through, yeah, you all right. Okay. I'm right every now and then. Dang, Vicky. I'm with you again. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith. I got it. Thank you. Glendocious, you're 100% right about the beaches in Thailand, especially when you go island hopping and Koh Samui and Koi Phagan. Best beaches I've ever been to. No question. I don't want everybody going to Thailand. I mean, go there because you want to, but pretty awesome place. Anthony Markovic. What's going on, Frank? What's going on with you, brother? All of you wonderful people, I assume that you hit the like button to prop up the show. Tell your friends, tell everybody. You know what? There's this show called In the Dungeon. And I'm not talking to most of you because I know most of you have been supporting me for a while. Oh, Anthony says Dan's show just let out. My man Dan Coach Amelia. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, Dan, I mean, listen. Dan Coach Amelia, NorCal Sports has blown up. Nobody's working harder than Dan. And he covers baseball like no other. I think he said he did last year, Dan Coach Amelia, NorCal Sports, did a post game for every show that the Giants had last year. That's impressive. That's impressive. He said Krug too. No, Krug's I got. But Krug's on a whole nother level. Krug is he's a national internet star at this point. Doing again this year too. Yeah, no. Nobody covers baseball like Dan. He's awesome. And Krug, Larry Krueger is, again, he's a national voice. It wouldn't surprise me at some point if Krug's not locked in with a network or something like that, because his insight and all that he brings to the table is pretty impressive. And he actually gave his son, Kevin Krueger, Kevin, great compliments. He gave his son great compliments the other day when I was on with the show with Larry. His son has done an incredible job, and he's a voice as well. So props to Kevin. Kevin's doing a wonderful job as well. I root for people. RC Rules says, Frank, hope you have a Final Four podcast. You mean next Monday night? I'll do it because you want me to. All right. So after the national championship game, we will do a special edition in the Dungeon Show. All right, RC Rules? It's done. He started YouTube in 22. Yeah, man. It's crazy, right? Larry's a football savant. Yeah. Took him a while to build. Yeah, you're talking about Dan. Yeah. No, it has. It has. I'm going to say this to you all. Maybe you guys can help me out. In the summer, I'm going to have a lot more time. And with all due respect, I'm going to try to blow this thing up a little bit. So I'm going to look for a kind of a social media expert type person. If you know anybody, or you have some expertise in that area, reach out to me at Big Frank Red, because I'm only on one platform. I only do YouTube. That's it. I'm not on anything else. I need to kind of get things happening a little bit. And this summer, I'm going to dedicate some time. Yeah, like you say, Anthony, you said make some shorts. Yeah, like I need to learn how to do all that stuff. I'll get somebody to do it for me. But I know that the content on this show is really strong, and the loyalty among the people who check the show out is very strong. So we have something going. We just got to use the tools to take it to the next level. Vicky says, that's Larry. He knows people. Yeah, his son. He knows his son. But he knows a lot of people. You're right. Got to do live on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to do all of that, Anthony. I am. Frank, WNBA rescheduling arenas for Caitlin Clark. She's a game changer for WNBA. Yes, she is. I can't wait to see her play. I'm going to go to some Valkyries games. I'll probably cover a couple of games, but I'll go spend some money too. Definitely. Got to get out there. Yeah. Do you do simultaneously streams? Well, what I wanted to do first was get 1,000 subscribers. I don't have 1,000. I have like 260, something like that. If I get 1,000 subscribers, then I'll start doing simultaneous streams with my guys. I'm not a user. I don't use people. I like to collaborate. I like to bring something to the table. Now I'm bringing content and all of that, but I should be able to get 1,000 subscribers on my own. I'm going to work towards that. All right. I appreciate all of your comments and all of your support. You folks are awesome. We've been on air now for 1 hour and 23 minutes. It feels like 30, and that's because of you, not because of me. I'm going to jump in one of these Warriors games. This is nut cracking time now. Tuesday's game is the biggest game of the season, and Thursday will be bigger than that, and Friday will be bigger than that. So this is a big week for Warrior fans. I didn't mention Jonathan Kuminga being hurt because we can't do anything about it. Hopefully he's going to come back on Tuesday. I don't have a whole lot of confidence. This guy doesn't appear to be like a fast healer, which kind of upsets me a little bit. But hopefully he's going to play on Tuesday. They need him. Key says, I feel horrible for Juju, but happy to see USC win their next game. Speedy recovery, Juju. It's just adversity. She's going to come back bigger, brighter than ever. I didn't like the USC fans' response to the Mississippi State players. Didn't like that. I was happy that Coach Gottlieb stood up and told the truth and said that, yo, listen, it was a freak accident. It had nothing to do with the Mississippi State players. I felt sorry for Michigan State players. You're literally 3,000+ miles away from home, opportunity of a lifetime, and you're getting blamed for injuring a generational talent in Juju Watkins that nobody wants to see hurt. I didn't like that at all. Anthony says, I have 1,549 subs off shorts of sports and fishing stuff quickly. I will hit me up on X. All right, at Big Frank Red. Show me how to do this, son. Show me how to do this, son. Jay-Z reference. Thank you, Frank. Great show. Vicky, you're awesome. You're so awesome. Good. All right, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Nick says, I'm just glad I found this channel. Thanks for the vids. All good. 5 second shorts. Really? I'll hit you up and tell you how to do it. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. All right, I'm going to do my thing, get out of here, everybody. This has been an incredible show. Incredible. And I look forward to checking you guys out throughout the week because I'm going to jump on in some of the Warrior games. Is that important? Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate you. Yes, let me get this in. R.I.P. George Foreman. He actually died last Friday, whom I actually mentioned on air. One of the great champions of all time, no doubt. Good night, y'all. Much love. Thank you, Nick. You've been great, man. Appreciate you. Aussie Rules. Frank, next time you'll be in Bangkok, let's meet for some pad thai. Man, listen. Aussie Rules. You ain't going nowhere, huh? Okay, so you're going to be there. We'll definitely hook up. And I love pad thai on the streets, man. Awesome. Love it. Mickey says the Denver game is tough. It is, but they need to do it, right? How's your girls playing? Oh, man. Okay. I got to give you this. Second year of the program. We made it to the playoffs both years. And this year, we actually won a playoff game. So, pretty incredible not to have and we play in one of the toughest leagues around. So, good things are happening. And I have a significant number of my players coming back next year. They're probably going to be challenging for a championship, but we made the playoffs and we won a playoff game by 20. And then we lost to the eventual champion who we had to play 2 hours later. And yeah, so great season. These young ladies, 11 to 13-year-olds. They did fantastic. Yeah, man, it was awesome. I'm doing my thing to get out of here. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things, help other people make their lives better. As far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. My name is Frank Red. Thank you. Follow me at Big Frank Red. Hit the like button or the In the Dungeon Show. I look forward to seeing you next time. Peace.